and welcome to Dementia Care Aware's Consumer Debt MLP Medical Legal Partnership Network's YouTube video presentation. This presentation was developed with the input and support of the DCA, Dementia Care Aware, statewide medical legal partnership network, and here is a collection of some of our affiliates. Our speaker information today: Suzanne Iazzetta is the supervising attorney of the Consumer Law Unit. Suzanne comes to the Public Law Center from the East Coast, where she has been practicing since 2005. Suzanne is licensed to practice law in New York, New Jersey, North Carolina, and California, and previously clerked for Judge Catherine S. Hayden of the United States District Court. Suzanne practiced civil litigation and bankruptcy at Lostin Sander PC in New Jersey for many years. While at Lostin Sander, Suzanne was granted a fellowship to work at Legal Services of New Jersey in the Newark, New Jersey office. While at LSNJ, Suzanne worked in the housing unit, assisting low-income clients to obtain Section 8 vouchers and defending voucher holders against HUD's attempt to terminate the vouchers. Suzanne continued that pro bono work when she returned to Lostin and was given a pro bono attorney award every year that she remained at Lostin Sander. She continually volunteered her services to assist people who needed legal help but could not afford traditional legal help. Some of the areas of law that Suzanne has worked on in her career are consumer law, bankruptcy, business and personal, housing and eviction matters, foreclosure defense, and FDCPA, FCRA, GCPA, and UDAAP claims and debt collection defense. Suzanne also spent time as a staff attorney for a Chapter 7 bankruptcy trustee in New Jersey and has had her own solo practice for the last 10 years. Working as a supervising attorney at the Public Law Center represents a lifelong dream for Suzanne, as it was always her intention to provide legal services for people in need and to lead a staff of like-minded people who are dedicated to making the world a better place, one act of kindness at a time. Morgan Cienfuegos Padgett, and that's me, is a staff attorney in the Consumer Law Unit. I work closely with older adults who have faced hardship, such as financial abuse, physical abuse, and home equity scams. Additionally, I focus on the Consumer Law Unit's Federal Pro Se Clinic, which is a free self-help clinic operated in the Ronald Reagan Federal Courthouse in Santa Ana. I earned my JD from Western State College of Law and my BA in English Literature from California State University, Long Beach. In our first couple of slides, we're going to be talking about our learning objectives and our case illustration. By the end of this presentation, providers should be able to recognize the following. 1, recognize when a person might be in collections. 2, recognize when a person might be facing foreclosure. 3, recognize when a person might have an active court case. 4, recognize when a person needs to be referred to legal services. And for our first case illustration, Miss S is 81 years old. She's having trouble keeping track of her monthly bills. Some payments have lapsed, and she is afraid she might be in collections. Every week, she receives phone calls and mail from debt collectors. She can't remember if she paid her last mortgage payment and fears she might face foreclosure. Miss S has a daughter that can help her. Her daughter lives close and visits her often. Her daughter tries to help manage Miss S's finances, and sometimes Miss S buys things and then forgets what she buys. Her daughter's finances are currently stable, but she does not have any savings and works 2 jobs to make ends meet. Let's issue spot. So what questions can you ask Miss S if she starts talking to you about the types of things that we discussed in the vignette? So here's some common questions. Do you have trouble keeping track of your bills? Do you pay your mortgage every month? Do you know which creditors are trying to collect from you? Are you feeling overwhelmed or experiencing stress? If so, how is it impacting your day-to-day? For example, do you have trouble sleeping? Do you have racing thoughts? Are you avoiding problems? Do you suffer from anxiety? We do try to get at specific indicators, such as I'm feeling overwhelmed because, or I'm feeling nervous because. Sometimes I find when we ask clients directly about conditions such as stress and anxiety, their own biases around mental health make it so they aren't as comfortable answering, yes, I have anxiety, but maybe they are more comfortable talking about why they're nervous or why they're feeling overwhelmed. More questions you can ask. Do you feel confident making decisions about your finances on your own? Do you have enough money to pay your bills every month? Are you running out of money at the end of the month? And do you have issues with unpaid bills or loans? So if they're answering yes to the majority of these questions, then it's a sign that you can refer them over to legal services. So for our next slides, we're going to talk about what we are looking for and what we can do. Signs that Ms. S needs help. These are the indicators that we're looking for. So she's using payment methods that make it harder for her to manage her finances. So maybe she's not utilizing direct payment methods. Maybe she's trying to pay by check when the institution only takes direct payment, credit cards, debit cards, something like that. She refers to others who she thinks are responsible for paying her bills. Maybe those people are paying the bills, maybe they're not, maybe they're pocketing some of that money. And she's confused as to which creditor is trying to collect from her and for what. So maybe she's not sure if it's a Chase card or a Bank of America card. Maybe she doesn't know if it's a payment for her car that she's trying to pay, or if it's a mortgage payment, and she's just mixed up on the different debt that is needing to be paid every month. And so what remedies are available? From a legal standpoint, we can do a cease and desist letter and send that to a creditor. We might consider taking on full scope representation. And this would be where an attorney signs in a case before the civil court. We can provide the individual resources to try to stop a foreclosure. For example, we can refer the person to apply for the California Mortgage Relief Fund, and then we might be able to write a letter to the lender explaining the situation and asking for more time. We can request the creditor enter into a payment plan with the client. We can ask for extensions or at-risk extensions. We can discuss refinancing with the person and whether or not that's a good decision for them. We can also work with the creditor and talk about debt forgiveness or a hardship waiver. This is really common with credit card debt. We have found that creditors will enter into a hardship waiver and virtually waive all debt depending on what's going on in the person's life. Also flagging that there are some instances where it's not a good idea to pay debt. I know that seems really counterintuitive, and this is why we do want to refer somebody over to legal services if they're talking about debt that they're having trouble paying. Common examples of when you don't want to advise the person to pay their debt is if it's been a long time. So there could be a statute of limitations issue that actually benefits the person. The client or patient might be on a fixed income or low income, and that can prevent a creditor from coming after them. Essentially, they might be judgment proof. And so the creditor cannot get at the income source that the person is receiving. Next, we're going to talk about how a primary care provider can respond. So essentially, how can you help support somebody's legal case? So going back to our example of Ms. S. So Ms. S could potentially improve her situation if she can show her creditors evidence of all the hardships she is facing and or evidence that due to her health conditions, she needs to remain in her home. A short letter from a doctor's office can provide this evidence and support, and quite frankly, be incredibly persuasive for a creditor. Letters from primary care physicians confirming the conditions a patient is experiencing can provide compelling evidence to show creditors that the patient is experiencing a hardship and can open the door for the creditor to offer payment plans, decrease the debt, or even waive it altogether. Letters can also help a homeowner apply for an at-risk extension. These letters attest that the patient's health will be at risk if they lose their housing and become unhoused. All right, so the next question always is, a letter from a physician, what do I include? So we've provided a samples doctor note right here. And these are some bullet points to help guide you. So examples of helpful points to include in the letter from a physician. So of course, you want to state the person's medical condition or conditions. The caveat here is, of course, you want to get permission from the client and not violate any HIPAA laws. You want to detail any treatment plans. So if the person has to have access to a refrigerator for their medication, if they have to do, walk around the block a certain amount of times a day, whatever it is that really tries to illustrate the hardship that they're facing or the frequency that they need access to stable housing. And then the third bullet point here is the importance of having stable housing while recovering from or having a continuous medical condition. Please feel free to utilize ghostwriting as an option. A physician can always ask the patient or a law office to ghostwrite and provide a sample of the information they would like the physician to include. These letters really are highly persuasive and help provide evidence that the person really is telling the truth about their medical condition and that they need to have either stable housing or just showing that they have so much hardship going on. And if the debt is relatively low, $2,000 to $3,000, I've seen a creditor just waive the debt altogether. So lastly here, where can you refer folks for legal services? So again, our organization is the Public Law Center. We're focused in Orange County. I've provided our address, website, several phone numbers, our general phone number, our consumer law, our consumer unit extension, our housing extension, and our bankruptcy extension. Bankruptcy clinic is a self-help clinic where we provide free advice for folks that are representing themselves in a bankruptcy. We can also just provide general counsel and advice to see if that would be a good route for the person to go into. On the right-hand side of the screen, I provided some other information about legal services in Orange County and those websites, and as well as the self-help link to the Orange County Superior Court. There is quite a bit of information on that self-help link, and it's a really good place to begin. And that ends our presentation. Thanks so much for watching. And if you have any questions or need to reach out for further guidance, please contact the MLP training at uchastings.edu. And thank you so much.